Hey everybody, so changing a tire can be extremely tedious and a dangerous process. So I'm going to teach you guys about the safety and the importance of changing a tire because of course we have a lot of accidents that do happen every year and you don't want to end up like a statistic and be splattered across the side of the road. So to get started on the safety, you want to make sure that you have all the equipment that is required to change the tire. While changing the tire, you want to make sure that it is also sturdy on the jacks. Now if your car breaks down on the side of the road, make sure that if you're pulling off, if it's on the right side of the car, then you want to pull into the right lane so that way you're not on the same side as traffic. If it's on the left-hand side of the car, pull to the left HOV lane, and then you're not on the same side as traffic. I believe 730 people died in 2017 due to tire changing related accidents. So you don't want to end up like a statistic and across the road again. So safety of changing a tire is extremely important. Also, if you're having to change the tire, make sure it's super sturdy because if it rolls off the jack and you're underneath the tire, then you'll get squished and that's no good. So now, when it goes into the process of changing the tire, you want to make sure you go ahead and have all the tools that are required. That would be a tire iron, a jack, a spare tire, of course, that's very important to have with you. Also, if you have special equipment like locking lug nuts, you want to make sure you have a special key that goes into the tire iron that loosens the lugs. So it'll be like one out of, if you have 5 or 6 lug nuts on your car, you'll have a special key that just goes over one certain lug. Also, if you have an undermounted body spare, then you want to be able to make sure you have the lowering rod that comes with the car. Now the lowering rod does go into the jack, so you use the lowering rod to lift up the jack and also to lower the car as well. Now, whenever you're putting the jack under the car, you want to make sure that you're putting it in the designated spot where it says under the car. Now, most of the time it does go on the chassis, but there are certain cars that have a little arrow that show where to put it. Like the newer cars, I think it's like 2010 and above. Now, also, after you put the car on the jack, before you put the car on the jack, you want to loosen the lug nuts. That way you're not trying to sit there and loosen these really tight lug nuts that are probably on there with the air ratchet, and then a possibility of it rolling off the jack. Now, once you loosen the lugs, then go ahead and put the jack under the car and start using the lowering rod to pull up the car. At this point, the lug should be loose, so you should be able to unloosen them with your fingers, but if you can't, finish them up with the with the tire iron. Making sure that they're all loose, and then go ahead and take out the lug nuts and then pull the old tire off. Once you pull the old tire off, you want to go ahead and put the new spare on. Now this part's kind of difficult because you have to line the holes up with the studs that come out of the tire, or out of the tire rod. Once you pull it out, put it on the tire, then it's time to go ahead and start tightening the lugs back up. Now when you're tightening the lugs back up, you want to go ahead and do crisscross. So there's 6. You want to do one up here, then one up here, or one down here, then one down up here, then one down here, and then cross. So you want to tighten this with your finger as tight as you can, because if you do it with the jack, again, it'll fall off the stand, and you'll end up like a statistic, of course. And then you're on the side of the road having to wait on a tow truck because now your car's sitting on the ground. Okay. So once you have the finger tightened, you want to go ahead and start lowering the jack all the way back down. Once it's back down on the ground, then you can take the tire iron. Remember, we're doing it crisscross. So the way you did it when you're tightening them, you want to use your jack or the tire iron and go diagonal again. And with it being diagonal, this prevents the car from or the tire from going on the tire rod crooked. So if you're doing it up here, up here, up here, up here, then it's going on there straight. Now that it's on there straight, you should be able to go and put all the tools back where you got the tools from. The tools normally go underneath the back seat, or if you have a car, they go in the trunk where the spare tire is. And put the spare tire where you got put the flat tire back where you got the spare tire from, which will be in the trunk of most smaller cars, or if you have an SUV or a truck like myself, I have a truck, so it goes under the car. So you want to use that lowering rod to pull the tire back up underneath the car, so that way it's not an inconvenience. And whenever you take it to the tire shop, then they'll be able to just lower back down, change it once you get to a convenient area. So again, I just want to go over my points one more time. There's a lot of different things that can happen when you're changing a tire, and you want to be extremely careful when you are changing the tire. Because again, a lot of bad things do happen, and I work in a road service department at my job, and you hear about service companies that do get hit by cars a lot. So you just want to be as precaution as you can, or as safe as you can while changing the tire. If you're not, then that's never any good for anybody. So while changing the tire, just make sure you're always safe. Make sure you're doing it correctly, because if they're not on there tight, you're going down the road, tire flies off. Again, you're stranded on the side of the road with a tire rolling down the road just as fast as you are, making sparks. So just want to make sure that you guys are extra careful doing it. And while you're changing the tire, you want to be knowledgeable of why you're doing that as well. So you're not just going out there all in. Now, if you're not for sure on how to change a tire, then this speech didn't help you guys out at all, then of course, call your road service company if you can, if you have one. They do get expensive, but it's better to go ahead and pay the price of that than having a tire rolling down the side of the road with you, or you end up being splatted across the road by a semi-truck on the highway. So, any questions? No? Nobody? Okay, well that's my speech. Now you guys are more knowledgeable about changing tires.